What's up, guys? It's Josh back with another video, and today I want to cover an article that I thought was super interesting. And this article covers the controversial use of facial recognition technology by police departments and government agencies in the United States. And if you guys haven't heard, but back in 2020, Robert Williams, a black man from Detroit, was wrongfully arrested for allegedly stealing thousands of dollars worth of watches. And this happened after being falsely identified by a facial recognition service. And this is basically the first documented case of someone being wrongfully detained based on facial recognition technology, which is being used by police departments and government agencies across the country. Now, Williams' case has sparked a nationwide debate about the use of facial recognition technology and its potential for misuse and racial biases. And today, I wanted to discuss the ongoing legislative efforts in California to regulate the use of this technology, including two proposals currently being considered by the state's legislature. And I also explore the concerns of civil liberty organizations, including the American Civil Liberties Union, who argues that facial recognition technology poses a potential threat to Black and Brown communities who have already been disproportionately targeted by the police and surveillance systems. So sit back, relax, and let's check out this article on this complex and controversial topic of facial recognition technology in law enforcement. Let's get started. Alright, so this article is on theguardian.com, and of course I'll always have the link down in the description of the video. But as you can see, it says first man wrongfully arrested because of facial recognition testifies as California weighs new bill. And it also states one bill would ban its use in body cameras for 10 years, while the second could allow police to match images to the state's driver's license database. So let's go through and read a little bit. But it says in 2020, Robert Williams was arrested for allegedly stealing thousands of dollars of watches, and Detroit police had matched grainy surveillance footage of the crime to Williams' driver's license photo using a facial recognition service. And I believe they probably contracted this service right here that's using it, or maybe an application that they're using through another company that was developed by another company. But it says, but Williams wasn't the robber. At the time of the robbery, he was driving home from work, and Williams' arrest was the first documented case of someone being wrongfully detained based on facial recognition technology, which is used by police departments and government agencies across the U.S. Now, on Tuesday, Williams testified before a California legislature, which is considering several proposals about the use of the technology by police. And this is one of his quotes right here. It says, "It's dangerous when it works, and even more dangerous when it doesn't work," Williams said. Now, in my case, Detroit police were supposed to treat face recognition matches as investigative leads, and I 100% agree with that. It shouldn't be taken as the only proof. Oh, and that's what it says right after here. Not as the only proof they need to charge someone with a crime. That's true. I 100% agree with that. Williams wrote in a letter to California Assembly's Public Safety Committee, they should be collecting corroborating evidence such as eyewitness identification, cell phone location data, or fingerprints. And that's 100% right. You know what I'm saying? That's the way they do it with any other investigation. So they shouldn't solely lean on the face matches to solve the crime. It's almost like that's being lazy, in my opinion. And it says they had none of that. Just an out of focus image of a large black man in a baseball cap that a faulty algorithm had determined was me. Yeah. So that's really all they had as far as evidence. And so Williams' testimony comes as the California's legislature is mulling two proposals, and I wanted to cover both of those bills. It says the first bill would place a moratorium on the use of facial recognition in police body cameras. And basically, and to my understanding, that means they can't use other people's images, from the camera. So you know how the cops, when they're standing around with the body cam on, you're gonna catch other people around, you know what I'm saying, and they could possibly use those images, for the facial recognition software, you know what I'm saying, incorporating that into their database or whatever, as well as them getting a picture of the subject, you know what I'm saying. Now it says, while the second identifies circumstances in which police would both be permitted to use and restricted from using facial recognition software or systems. Now, the bill reflects an ongoing debate and tension over the use of surveillance systems in California. In San Francisco, for example, the Board of Supervisors in 2022 voted to allow the city's police department to access live footage from private surveillance cameras. Just 4 years earlier, that very same board had voted to ban police and other city agencies from using facial recognition. And then it says, several studies show that facial recognition systems regularly misidentify Black and brown people. And this is where the problem comes in. You know what I'm saying? The system is essentially flawed. So it shouldn't be relied upon as the, sole way of identifying, suspects. Now it says, posing a particular threat to communities that have already been disproportionately targeted by police and surveillance systems. And I remember doing a video a while back that kind of covered how these systems that are being developed are still not to the point where it should be solely relied on or used in a lot of these cases because of its misidentification of Black and brown people. And it was a study done by the NIST organization. And let me pull up that article that I read. But this study was done in 2019. And just so you guys know, NIST stands for National Institute of Standards and Technology. But as you can see from this article that they put out, it says NIST study evaluates effects of race, age, sex on face recognition software. And let me just go down to the bottom because it covers 5 findings that they got when they did this study. But the first one is for one-on-one matching, the team saw higher rates of false positives for Asian and African American faces related to images of Caucasians. Number 2, among US developed algorithms, there were similar high rates of false positives in one-on-one matching for Asian, African American, and Native groups. And number 3, however, a notable exception was for some algorithms developed in Asian companies. There was no such dramatic difference in false positives in one-on-one matching between Asian and Caucasian faces for algorithms developed in Asia. So it depends on where it was developed as well. Now, number 4 says, for one-to-many matching, the team saw higher rates of false positives for African American women. So that's crazy right there, that it's actually seeing a lot of false positives for Black women. And I think they used 1.6 million domestic mugshots. It says, but only one FBI database. Yeah, it's a FBI database. Now, number 5, it says, however, not all algorithms gives this high rate of false positives across demographics in one-to-many matching, and those that are most equitable also rank among the most accurate. The last point underscores one overall message of the report. Different algorithms perform differently, and that's true based on what they said up here. It depends on where it was developed. So, but anyway, let's get back to the article. I just wanted to cover that because this study was done back in 2019 that pointed out that these facial recognition software is not able to effectively match, Black and brown people when it comes to these systems and the way they're set up. And I'm not sure if that's the study they were talking about here where it says several studies show, but it must be some other studies out there. And this is on the Washington Post. Yeah, they got an article on the Washington Post about that. Now it says it's in the spirit of limiting the technology that AB 1034, which is the bill, which was sponsored by Assemblymember Lori Wilson and Alkali Weber, was introduced. If signed into law, the bill would extend a 3-year moratorium of the use of facial recognition in police body cameras for another 10 years. So they'll push it back and not be able to use it for another 10 years. And the bill received broad support from a coalition of civil liberties organizations led by the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU of Northern California, technology and civil liberties attorney Matt Cagle said the organization sees the proposal as just a first step, and then the ACLU and other partners do not think facial recognition ever would be appropriate on these cameras to be clear. And another quote, this bill makes sure that body cameras, which were promised as a tool for police accountability, for transparency around police conduct, can't be transformed or exploited for face surveillance, said Cagle. Now here's the other bill. It says simultaneously, lawmakers are considering another bill, AB 642, introduced by Philip Ting, that would provide guidelines for police and government agencies about when they can deploy facial recognition software. And we scroll down, it says, Ting said his bill is simply meant to impose basic guardrails and doesn't prevent local authority from stronger actions. But some of the committee members, including Wilson, who represent Suisun City, voiced their reservation over whether the bill expands the use of facial recognition in the state. A particular concern is an amendment that could allow police to try to match images of people's faces against the California driver's license database, a search that is currently prohibited. Now, the ACLU is opposing Ting's bill, arguing that because it defines facial recognition as technology that monitors areas in real time, it sanctions the use of real-time community-wide facial recognition systems in certain circumstances, including on a person suspected to have committed a felony. The organization says it won't support anything short of an outright ban on the technology, something some members, including Josh Lowenthal of Long Beach, said they could see themselves supporting. Now, trying to regulate face surveillance is like trying to block a cannonball with cardboard, ACLU attorney Corman Nickel Cox said in her testimony to the committee. The harms of this technology fundamentally alter what it means to exist in public, and already the status quo is that Black and brown communities are over-policed, over-arrested, over-abused by law enforcement. Face surveillance pours gasoline on that problem. And I can actually kind of see that, you know what I'm saying? You can see something like this being over abused, you know what I'm saying? So it should be regulated in some way. Now it says to Williams, the Detroit man who was wrongfully arrested because of facial recognition, the only answer is not to use this tech. And it says, if California legislature embraced the widespread use of facial recognition technology, there will be many more cases like mine. And it says, innocent people put in harm's way and damage that can never be undone, Williams wrote. But they may not be as lucky as I was to avoid a conviction, or worse, a fatal encounter with police. Now, this was an interesting article, and I really wanted to read it to you guys and really point out that there is a debate out there on whether we should be using this facial recognition software. And the only real debate I see is in, current California right now. But as we conclude this video, it's important to remember that facial recognition technology is a rapidly advancing field with the potential to greatly impact our lives. As highlighted in this article, the use of this technology by law enforcement has already resulted in wrongful arrests and further perpetuate systemic biases against Black and brown communities. And it's up to us as individuals and as a society to demand accountability and ethical use of these technologies. Now, I hope this video has shed some light on this important issue or topic and sparked, further discussion and action towards a more just and equitable use of facial recognition technology. Now, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I would love to hear comments down in the comment section below. Please give me your thoughts or how you feel about this actual article down in the comments below. I definitely would appreciate it so we can have a conversation about it. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and of course, keep it techie.